Today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp. Hello there, my beautiful pumpkins, and welcome back to the Pumpkin Patch. If you are new here, hello, my name is Chloe Taylor, and on this channel, I believe that we have one of the most cozy, autumnal, vibey corners of the internet. So if you like the way that I read, you like my style, you like it here, be sure to hit that subscribe button and become a member of the Pumpkin Patch. I would love to have you as part of our community. So today's video, my beautiful friends, we are doing a healing message from spirit. So I have sat down, I have meditated with my guides, and that is the message that we are working with, is what healing do we need, or maybe what is hindering us, or what is kind of the stop from continuing on our path right now. So that is going to be our main intention and our main focus. I do feel like this message is going to be a little bit more gentle in nature. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy. And don't be afraid to pick more than once. I do want to let you know before we jump in that today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp. And I genuinely love BetterHelp. I've been using them myself now for about a month. I think we've been doing it for over a month now on a weekly basis. And if you don't know what that is, BetterHelp, which is BetterHelp, BetterHelp is actually an online therapy service that gets you in contact with over 20,000 licensed therapists in their network. And it allows you to have access online to a therapist. And many of you know that in the realm that I am in, I love healing work. I love divination. I love chakra work. I love energy healing. But something that I think is valuable, and again, I use this myself, is talking to a licensed therapist. That's something that many of you love about my channel, and what sets it apart from others is that I don't just live all in the mystical aspect. I think that it's very important that we bring the logical aspect in as well, and we take a whole body approach to healing. And you can't do that without taking that psychological approach and speaking to a therapist. I feel like it's literally worth its weight in gold to speak to somebody. It's something that I have incorporated over the last year in general in my life, as I've been on my own mental health healing journey. There's a lot that my cards give to me, my divination tool, my energy work gives to me, but talking to a therapist to me is literally irreplaceable. Something else that I really love about this service is how easy it is to use. The sign-up process is super quick. It takes 24 hours for them to get you in contact with a therapist. And probably my favorite thing about it, even though I haven't had to use it yet, I got very lucky with the first therapist I connected with, has made such a difference. But something that I think is just genius is you can change your therapist at any time. You can decide upon that first meeting that that person didn't really vibe with you, and you can move on to somebody else or request a new therapist. And you don't have to like talk to the old therapist about it. You don't have to, you could just decide you want somebody else. And I feel like for many of us, that can create feelings of anxiety if we were doing this elsewhere, having to like leave somebody else, go out there and find somebody else, get in your car, go somewhere. You can do this all from the comfort of your home and on your laptop to be like, nope, I would rather work with somebody else. So you can change at any time. The sign up process is easy. And even when there has been scheduling conflicts for me, my therapist has been incredibly good about responding to my concerns, and we've been able to figure out appointment times that work better for the both of us. So I love that it's so easy access, easy to change. It literally is like the simplest way to me to get help from a therapist. So thank you so much, BetterHelp, for sponsoring today's video. Please be sure to check out that link once again for 10% off. It's betterhelp.com/Kloee, Kloee. And I hope that you'll try it, use it, and that it will be as life-changing for you as it has been for me. Before we get into the meditation music, I just want to let y'all know this is for pile number 1. This is for 2, 3, and 4. So we will get into it. Go ahead and click your corresponding timestamp so that you can get into your reading. I'm going to go ahead and turn up the meditation music, turn myself down for a moment, and give you some time to sit with the different cards so that you can decide. And, know that you're never going to choose wrong. You can even check the timestamps and see if your lucky numbers are present. Maybe there's a color that you're resonating with, something that the cards say that you're resonating with. But in any case, just know that you're never going to choose wrong. Trust yourself, trust your intuition, and I'm going to go ahead and turn up that meditation music now. All right, if you chose pile number 1 with the full moon in Aquarius Be Real card, this is going to be the healing message that Spirit really wants you to hear. Now, I do want to remind those of you, if you want to take your healing work a step further, please make sure to check out BetterHelp, which is the online therapy service that I myself use. It's incredible. It's been life-saving for me, and you can use that at betterhelp.com/Kloee for your first month 10% off. So full moon in Aquarius Be Real. Let's talk about it. Ultimately, if you chose this card, this to me is like the heart of your reading of what Spirit wants you to know about. So I feel like the healing message Spirit is trying to relay to you with this is being real in terms of Aquarius is being your most authentic self. Because Aquarius is the authenticity sign. It is the sign that it doesn't care. Like, it doesn't care if it's perceived as weird or out there or different. It just is authentic unto itself. And having a full moon here, this to me says that Maybe you have been in a position where you feel like your realest and truest self has had to be stunted, and Spirit is saying this is where the healing needs to occur. So I'm also seeing that we have the Seven of Swords, which says there was a time period in your life, and this could have been recent or from a long time ago, where you felt like you were abandoned by others based on a way that you were, something you said, something you did. And this has created in you this ability to basically not want to trust any connections that come your way. There's like always this fear that people are going to leave, or maybe you are somebody that will also start to basically find flaw in other people. You basically, so you don't get too attached is what I'm hearing. Like the universe keeps presenting you with people that could be really beautiful on your journey, and you find flaw because you don't want to make a tight connection with someone because there's fear there. There's fear of that original abandonment, or that your truest, most realist self will not be accepted. And in the past, I also see that maybe there was some fights that were caused over this, or you have fear of upsetting other people just for existing as you are and whatever your truest, authentic, most authentic self is. But what Spirit is saying is that as you learn to accept yourself at your fullest and highest potential, no matter what that looks like, you will start to overflow into the people around you. And because of that, they will also become their most authentic selves. Like this might even be something that you came here to do. Maybe you are on the thread of like being more of a way shower in this world. You were meant to do it first so that other people will follow. And maybe, like I always say this, that if you feel like there is nowhere that you fit in with other people, that means that you are the person that is meant to create that community. Like if you don't feel like you have a community for people like you are the person that is supposed to create it and bring those people together by showing it to yourself first. Now, I did pull a few chakra cards as well for you because I wanted to see which chakras specifically were out of balance for you so that you could start to work on that in a practical way. So I did get Ajna, which, apologies, I'm not great at Sanskrit, so I might pronounce some of these wrong. And Manipura, I think is how you say this one, which this is the third eye chakra and the solar plexus. So the third eye chakra, this is about trusting yourself, trusting your intuition, trusting your thoughts, trusting what you see. And I gotta tell you, pile number one, if you are here, you are on the perfect channel to discover this about yourself, because that is a part of my life mission as like a channeler, is to help people connect to A, their most authentic selves, and B, to trust themselves and to learn how to trust themselves at their deepest level. So you are at the right place, right time, and I'm grateful that you're here. But this is about working with your third eye. So you might be somebody that your third eye is feeling blocked or closed. And I would encourage, if you're going to open your third eye, like sometimes it can bring on visions and things like that that you're not quite ready for. So definitely take it easy on yourself, take it slow. I always encourage using crystals like amethyst. Also practicing with intuitive games. So something that I see a lot on TikTok, believe it or not, and I think this is genius, I think it actually helps hone your ability to trust your intuition, is like people will put a black and white filter on and they'll tell you to guess a color of something. And if you can find things like that to test your intuition of what color something is, and then they'll like remove the filter and you can see if you were right. You can do this with a deck of cards and just start like playing, not memory, but like maybe just pulling out like 4 cards and trying to trust your intuition to guide you to which one is which. You know, start really small. It could even be between like 2 different cards. Start small and then you can build on that. It's really I feel like it presents itself in different ways for everyone, but I do feel like with the third eye, this is a lot about seeing. But I feel like this is often where our psychic senses will be. And so sometimes it can come across as a feeling as well. But this to me states that you are feeling maybe psychically blocked in some way, or that your third eye is wanting to open. Or it also could be that it's overactive and we need a little bit more of a grounding presence, but that's not really what I'm getting from the rest of the reading. So I would say just working to hone that intuition and to trust yourself. Then with Manipura, this one is all about that solar plexus chakra. So this is the one that sits right underneath your rib cage. And this is one that I feel like a lot of today's world actually struggles with. This is all about your own personal empowerment. And I notice sometimes even in myself, when I feel the feelings of anxiety, my solar plexus is the place where I feel it. I feel this like tightness there right away. And so for you, maybe you have experienced that. Some things that I have found that really help the solar plexus is working with citrine as a crystal, working with also, I will link these down below, but there is these Buddha teas that I really like, that they offer, like, the tea leaves are literally put together with the crystals. Like, they are not steeped, but like they are like charged with the crystals and that correspond to the different chakras. And I've seen a lot of success in my own life with those. They're really inexpensive, and I will link all of the chakras down below. So make sure you check out that description box for like the decks and things like that. I'll link all those things down below for you if you want to check that out. But with the solar plexus, oftentimes it's either an underactive where we don't feel like we have control of any part of our life, where we feel like we're not allowed to shine, or it can also be sometimes overactive to where we are consuming everything. So it can be over consumerism, it can be overconsumption of foods. That's where you will see that present itself. And again, ways to get through that: working with citrine, trying out that tea that I mentioned, and also the, what is it called? You can listen to like sound bath music for the solar plexus or for the third eye. But you can also sit out in the sun for the solar plexus. I don't know if I mentioned that, but sunbathing is really good for charging your solar plexus, especially if you're feeling a tightness there. And if you cannot get the sun, I fully understand. I live in the state of Washington. It is cloudy here all the time. Getting a sun lamp could be very beneficial for you. Even like the sun is always going to be better, but if you do not have access to that 24/7, doing like things with a solar lamp is going to be good too. So I also have for you the card. This is so funny. You have the card of healing, which is really interesting because this is coming up during a message about healing. And that to me is just like a reintroduction of you're in the right place. This was the right reading for you. But this says the frequency of healing supports our intrinsic ability to restore our health and wholeness by consciously using the information that comes to us through our senses and harmonizing everything accordingly. So with healing, this is all about finding that harmony within, finding that inner peace within, that inner stillness, and being able to listen to it. So with like Ajna, with the Manipura, I feel like you're almost being called to work on all of the chakra system with the healing card, but these two predominantly, of course. But I feel like you're really wanting to come back to wholeness and whatever that means for you. So coming into that whole body awareness, right? I talked about that in the beginning of the video, where I believe, of course, in energy healing, in divination, in therapy, but I also believe in dancing and playing and doing a sport if you can, doing something that gets the body moving, and not because you're meant to exercise and fit into some kind of pant size. That's not what I'm talking about. Doing movement, even if it's like maybe you can't move from the waist down. I don't know what your life story is, but maybe all you can do is like move your hands or move your eyes back and forth or twist your neck in a certain way. All of those still count for moving your body and releasing emotional tension. But that, I feel like, is something that you're really being called towards with this whole body approach, being conscious of a whole body approach. And then we have Merkabra for you, which says the frequency of Merkabra supports our ability to use our consciousness to traverse into other layers of reality and dimensions. It activates our access to our Akashic inheritance as well, merging the totality of our experiences into our present to serve our highest purpose. So you're also being asked to work on your third eye, because you need to connect deeper. There is something deeper in this life that you are meant to connect to at this time, and you haven't been able to access it, maybe because there's been too much nervous energy going on, or because you are experiencing that third eye chakra being blocked, so you're not able to see. I do not have any videos currently on Akashic Records. I'm just not very well versed in it, if I'm being totally honest with you. So I don't feel like I can speak on it because I'm not aware as much about it. I know what it is, but I'm not super versed in like accessing it and things like that. But this to me is a call to action, that if you don't know what that is or what it's about, this is a call to start exploring that, learning about the Akashic Records. Even just a quick little YouTube search, I guarantee you there are tons of videos where there are meditations that help you access, where people are talking about it, guaranteed. But you're being called to basically connect to a higher force of energy, whether that is the higher self, whether that is a spirit guide, source, basically so that you can access these higher and ancient realms to help you connect to your highest purpose here and now. That is why healing is so important for you right now. Now, I also have several cards of self-care for you, just to see what it is that we can start beginning to access so that you can start the healing process. So first and foremost, we have, if beating yourself up worked, you'd be thin, rich, and happy. Try loving yourself instead. And we have the card of self. So I love this card. I think on healing journeys, we often think in the beginning that we're going to change people or situations. But what often happens, especially when you're working with a therapist, in my experience, what often happens is you actually just change yourself. And because you change yourself, the outside reality has no choice but to also change. So beautiful. This is about going into self and working with the self. Then we have your body deserves your love with the body card. So literally, oh my gosh, I don't look at these cards before I start talking about them. I was just talking about getting into the body, doing bodily movements and body practices to get yourself into a whole body approach, because the mind is great. I love the mind. I love working with the mind. But when we bring the body in for an entire body experience and healing approach, this to me is where the real healing begins, when we bring energy from basically every option, every corner, no stone left unturned. So beautiful. Then we have, today you are a curator of beauty. You are blessed with moments that let you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that all is well in the world. So beauty. I feel like if you're somebody that deals with a lot of nervousness about the world today, which like I think a lot of us do deal with that. If you're somebody that deals with that, this is also a call to action for you to start recording the beauty that you see and notice it. Because often if all we're looking for is destruction, that's exactly what we're going to find. Like, if you're punching into your phone every day, news on the Depp case or celebrity gossip, you're going to keep seeing this negative stuff in the forefront of everything, because like always attracts like. But if you are constantly looking out into the world at nature, at baby bunnies, if you have them in your area, at how kids' minds are like sponges and they're able to adapt and learn new things, at, people petting their dogs. I don't know. Anything. If you are willing to let yourself go beyond just the scope that you have been seeing and see beauty in and around you, and I'm saying record it. Get a tiny notebook. Carry it with you. Become the Steve Blues Clues of your life. Carry around your handy dandy notebook. And decide that in this little notebook, you are going to record all of the beauty that you see. And then look at it at the end of the day. How much beauty did you notice? Because honestly, I feel like sometimes in today's society, we are kept in this constant state of fear. And I'm not saying that we need to be complacent or unaware. I think it's all a balance. But what I'm picking up from Spirit right now is that you've been living all in one sector, and it's hurting you more than it's helping you. And this is a call to action to start noticing something different. So I love that. I think that's a beautiful message to receive in terms of self-care, and it's a very easy practice. Then we have for you, just because some people are fueled by drama. Oh my gosh, literally what was I just talking about? Just because some people are fueled by drama doesn't mean you have to attend the performance. Make your life a drama-free zone with peace. I feel like that is a message that goes hand in hand with what I just said. So I'm not going to continue to add to that, but seriously. And then lastly, we have one of the frequency cards from the Blind Spot Oracle. And this one I'm going to read out of the book because they're such intricate descriptions. And this is really like a blind spot that you may have not noticed, that I feel like will help you on your path. Spirit wants you to be aware of this. Now, I will say sometimes these cards aren't very gentle. So if you're not in a space to hear it, like maybe this is the end of your reading right here. But if you're open to it, if you can take it in and not internalize it as a negative thing, I think that it's worth hearing. So just putting that out there right now. These cards to me are a little bit more serious, but they help you to grow. And I really like the messaging often that they provide. This one is very lengthy, so we are going to be here for a second talking. Yeah, this one is quite long, but let's go ahead and talk about it. So number 35, this is the card of desperation. And it says, if you have drawn the sigil, what you do not see clearly is your desperation, or what the desperation has caused or is causing you to line up with. Desperation is the cover emotion for despair. I want you to imagine that a tsunami hits and a woman's child is carried away by the water much faster than she will be able to save them. At this moment, she cannot accept the reality of loss. She is in an immediate place of despair, which is utter and complete hopelessness and powerlessness. To prevent something from happening she cannot deal with or doesn't know if she wants to survive happening. She is in such a place of despair that a survival mechanism quickly converts that despair into desperation. She will avoid that hopelessness, powerlessness by doing literally anything else without limit to try to recover the child. This is the energy of desperation. Desperation works in two directions. It exists relative to things that are desperate not to lose. We are desperate not to lose, as well as things we are desperate to get. This desperation is very real. Saying there is something wrong with desperation is the same as saying there is something wrong about a starving person stealing food. People who make desperation wrong have no idea what it means to be desperate. When people are desperate, they often have to do the very best that they can. someone from where they are with whatever they have. We may be thinking the wrong way, making bad choices, and taking the wrong actions because we don't want to lose something, like our reputation or someone we love, or we may be thinking the wrong way, making bad choices and taking the wrong action because we so desperately want something, like to be famous, to be a famous actress, or to feel a sense of belonging with someone. If what we are desperate for is an emotional need, one of the most common situations we may end up in if we are not aware of our despair and thus are subconsciously operating through desperation is an intermittent reinforcement relationship. To explain this, I want you to imagine there is a laboratory, and in the laboratory there is a rat in a cage. The scientists in the lab are studying behavior. In the corner of the rat cage, there is a lever. Every time the rat pushes on the lever, a pellet of food comes out. Needless to say, the rat is preoccupied with pushing the lever and getting the pellets that come out. So the scientists wonder what will happen if they remove the pellets. The rat pushes on the lever and eventually realizes it's not going to yield any pellets, and so he loses interest and preoccupies himself with other things. What these experiments had in common is that they were a predictable pattern in terms of expectation. This is called continuous reinforcement. In the first experiment, the pattern was, I push the lever, I can expect a pellet to come out. In the second, the pattern was, I push the lever and I can expect nothing to come out. Now imagine that the scientists start to wonder what will happen if they make the pattern unpredictable. What if sometimes when the rat pushes the lever, a pellet sometimes comes out and sometimes doesn't? They imagined that the rat would become frustrated and eventually lose interest. In fact, the opposite happened. Again and again, each rat became anxiously obsessed with the lever and neglected all of its other grooming habits and started to deteriorate. The rat was engaged in an intermittent reinforcement experience, and the intermittent reinforcement had created an addiction. But this addictive behavior didn't cease when experimenting on the same rats. The scientists reverted back to pattern of continuous reinforcement of no pellets in response to the rat pressing the lever. The rat stayed obsessed with the lever despite receiving nothing. It had grown accustomed to periods of time where no reinforcement was given. The intermittent reinforcement had created persistence in the face of resistance. Intermittent reinforcement applies to much more than just rewards and things we want. Intermittent reinforcement applies to things we want. Intermittent reinforcement applies to things we want that are only granted inconsistently, unpredictably, and occasionally. It also applies to things like rules, personal boundaries that are only enforced inconsistently. This causes people to become confused and either terrified about how to interact with the person setting the rule or boundary, or conversely, to push the limits until they get what they want from the person. Intermittent reinforcement creates addiction. Think about gambling. If you're sitting at a slot machine, you may try to predict the pattern of reward, but you cannot. It is random. But the high that comes as a result of the experience of the random rewards creates obsession. You become owned by the game, despite for what only someone else has control over giving you. You are desperate for it, building up so much despair and starvation that when you get a single scrap, the relief you experience by getting that scrap feels like nirvana, and you begin to chase that feeling and do anything you can to get it. For this reason, the scraps we are desperate for can be said to contain poison. If you are in this kind of relationship, you are the rat in the cage caught in a cycle of torment. No matter what, if you are in an intermittent reinforcement relationship, you are in an abusive relationship. If you had drawn this sigil, whatever it is that you are desperate for, you are being asked to do two things. The first is, instead of running away from your despair and desperation, acknowledge it and lovingly caretake it directly. It represents a desperate need that you cannot unneed. You must consciously meet that need in the best way you can and in a way that is within your control. This is like asking a starving person to be objective and rational in a situation where it feels impossible to do so. So simply do the best you can with what you have have from wherever you are. The second thing this sigil is asking you to do is to see that your desperation is getting you into a situation where a starving person is offered a poisoned apple and takes it because they are desperate, even though it will provide short-term relief in exchange for long-term suffering. This is one of the most seemingly unfair traps within this universe. If we deny our despair instead of offering it presence and resolve, we do not see that we are more in tune with and likely to be fooled by these apple mirages, solutions that may seem to be real but are not. If you have drawn this sigil, making choices and acting out of desperation is not going to yield positive results. So I feel like this is basically saying, I mean, a lot. That was a mouthful. But I feel like this is also saying that you don't have to be desperate for healing. You don't have to be desperate for anything in your life. And though it's not a bad thing to be desperate, all of us have felt that at one time or another. And it needs to be acknowledged that that's okay. It's a normal emotion that everybody feels it at some point. But it's also up to you to decide if you want to continue to live in that air of desperation or if you want to lovingly acknowledge it. So that is the closing statement for this reading in terms of your healing, working on that with yourself. And knowing that you really are a beautiful, magical, amazing, wonderful person, truly. Like, you are doing the best that you can with what you have. And I hope that this didn't make you feel shameful, because that's the opposite of what it is supposed to do. But thank you so much for tuning into this reading, and thank you again, BetterHelp, for sponsoring today's video. Again, please check out that link down below if you feel like you are ready to speak to a therapist. That is betterhelp.com/Kloee for 10% off your first month. And I do want to remind those of you that are not aware, we do have a Patreon where you get early access to all of my content, weekly energy updates that I put out every single Sunday, sometimes Monday. You also get access to pick-a-cards that you can't get anywhere else. They're all ad-free as well. I do stuff like ad-free for Patreon. So you get things ad-free. You get a book club that we recently started. And we just have a really nice, like, tight-knit community there. We do community nights. Last month, we put together a Lego set and talked about all kinds of fun stuff. And it's just a really great way to support me as a creator if it's something that you are wanting to do. If you like the work that I do, it genuinely helps me to continue to create in the way that I do. And we have this like beautiful community there. So the link for that will be down below. If you don't want to join the Patreon, but you still would like to support me in some way, I do have my Cashapp, Venmo, and PayPal listed down below. I do not expect tips, but I certainly appreciate them if you would like to give me a tip for my reading. And I also have my wish list for those of you that ask for it. That is linked down below for you. And last couple of things I do want to remind you of. We have a podcast called Divine Authenticity. New episodes go out every single Tuesday. This last month, it's all been like love letters to you all. And it's been a beautiful month for podcasting. I love that podcast. It's truly something that comes from my heart, and it's something I really enjoy making. It's a passion project. You can listen to it everywhere that you listen to podcasts. And if you would like to follow me over on socials, I'm at Kloee Taylor on Instagram, on TikTok, anywhere across the web. I don't really use my Twitter, but I have one, and I'm at Kloee Taylor. So definitely make sure that you follow me everywhere if you would like to. I'm always putting new stuff out over there. And please do not forget, when you stand in your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. And I'll talk to you next time, pumpkin. Bye. All right, my beautiful pumpkins of pile number 2, welcome in to your reading. If you chose the first quarter moon in Aquarius, trust the universe, this is going to be your pile. I first want to say thank you so much to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's video. Please do not forget, if you are needing further assistance from a licensed therapist, to check them out at my link, betterhelp.com/Kloee. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Kloee. venmo.com/Kloee. All the information will be down below for you as well. And you get 10% off of your first month. And truly it has been a service that has been worth its weight in gold. So do not forget that that is available for you. But let's go ahead and talk about the healing message that you need right now. So what is going on? So these first few cards, the way that I am looking at this and the intention that I set is that we would be looking at kind of what is going on right now. And then we're going to get into like the chakras that need assistance and even more so like how we can continue to move forward on our healing journey. So with first quarter moon in Aquarius, trust the universe. This is about you needing to reconnect with your magic in general. That is like the heart of your reading, which we'll get more into with more cards. But for right now, I see that you have the Seven of Diamonds, the Page of Cups, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Four of Swords. So I feel like you have been through a possibly very tumultuous time as of late. You might even have Aquarius, Scorpio, Leo, or Taurus predominantly in your birth chart. And the reason I say that is we do have at least if you're watching this video as it's going out, if you're watching this many years down the line, I still believe this is the message you were meant to hear. But those of you that are watching it early on, we are currently in about another year of a cycle where we are going through the signs of Taurus and Scorpio collectively. That is where all of the eclipse points are for the next set of eclipses and into next year. So we have kind of this big axis of the fixed signs being highlighted, which Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Taurus are fixed astrological signs. And with them, these might have major influence on your chart. Maybe your north or south node is there, your sun, moon, rising. I would say Mars and Venus as well. You might have those signs in those places, or maybe a myriad of them. Either this could also be your 11th house, your 8th house, your 5th house, or your 2nd house being highlighted in some major capacity. So I will always encourage you to look towards your birth chart for that. But in any case, even if not, this card to me says that it's been a very unprecedented and unpredictable time, not just in the world, because we can see that clearly if we just open our eyes, but I'm talking about in your personal life, if things for yourself, where your career is, where your relationships are concerned, where your energy in general maybe has been a little bit shaky, it lacks foundation. It might feel like you are very like up in your head currently and not really fully grounded into this reality because there's just been so much. And the Seven of Diamonds tells me that you might even be in a position right now where you're having to really consider your next moves forward. You're having to look at a multitude of different pathways and you're not really sure what your next step is. You might be a little confused right now. The Page of Cups tells me that you are somebody that does genuinely trust your intuition to an extent. But again, because we have the trust the universe card here, I'm really getting the vibe that that is what you need to lean into more to continue your healing journey. You need to lean into the ways in which you can start trusting the universe. So something that I'm always going to recommend to you, if you're somebody that maybe you don't really live in the realm of magical thinking, and if you want more content on this, please let me know down below in the comment section. Comment like a little sparkle emoji or something. Let me know if you want more content on magical thinking, because I truly believe that magical thinking can change your entire life if you allow it to. It puts you in the sphere of being open to more optimistic opportunity, as well as just being more open to joyful experiences. And it's something that even in the depths of dealing with my own depression that I've gone through, magical thinking is something that has brought me back to myself. So I have like a personal stake in that as well. But the reason that I'm saying this is you might have some beliefs, but the best way to get back into this is to start very small. Start with something like, I always say, refer to my videos where I talk about like talking to your spirit guides or tips into getting into witchcraft if that's something that you're interested in. But getting into magical thinking, if you're somebody that doesn't really feel, maybe you like second guess quote unquote coincidences a lot. That's something that can really help you, is just starting really small and seeing what happens, asking spirit for a specific sign and watching it show up in your day-to-day life. Now, I also see with the Four of Swords that you actually have been taking more time to rest. And I'm really proud of you just in general, because the Four of Swords, if y'all have been on my channel for a while, you know that this card haunts some of you. Like, this card comes out in almost one reading. In every single reading that I do, one of y'all gets it. And it's usually in a position where you're not doing it. But in this regard, I actually think you have. I think because you're not really sure what your next move is, you've been taking time for yourself to rest and understand. And I'm so proud of you. Like, if that's all you needed from this reading today was for me to tell you that I'm proud of you, like, please take that. Like, I'm so proud of you. I know that that's not easy. And especially living in a culture that like values hustle, taking time to rest and get in alignment with yourself, that takes really serious practice. And I think spirit also just really wants to acknowledge that you have been doing the work. And I'm also seeing that your third eye is present here in this card. This is the symbol for the third eye chakra. I believe it's Ajna, which is funny because we had that, I believe, in pile number 1. But your third eye actually might be in the process of opening or expanding. This is actually a chakra that's coming into balance for you. So good job. Now, some of the chakras that need a little bit of help are going to be our next cards. And you actually got an extra one in your pile. So we've got a little bit of imbalance going on. We have, pardon me, I do not speak Sanskrit, so I'm probably going to butcher these to death, but I'm going to do my best. We have Maldara? I'm so sorry. This is going to be your root chakra. And before I show you the other two, we're just going to talk about this one because each chakra comes with things that you can do to help. Like currently, let me show you actually. Currently, I'm actually wearing, because my root chakra is always doing the most, I'm actually wearing these beads, these mala beads that, these are carnelian, which I believe actually help with the root and the sacral chakra. So I wear these a lot when I do readings. My root chakra from an abusive childhood is messed up, okay? She needs all the help she can get, and these beads, I genuinely feel like they assist me. Unfortunately, I don't think I can tell you where to get these because I got them from a store in Florida that was like a one-off store, but I'm sure you can find them somewhere. I also wear a garnet bracelet, and this helps me as well. This like beautiful garnet. Garnet's a great crystal for the root chakra, but you can also drink these teas that I talk about all the time. Not sponsored, just love them, but I will link all of them down below. I was going to for pile number 1 as well. So if you're looking for they're like crystal infused teas that work really awesome for balancing that root chakra. So and all the chakras, technically there's one for every chakra. But with the root chakra, the big point that I want to make with this is this often is our feeling of safety in the body. And so if you don't feel safe to be in your body, which I think collectively we all have some root chakra dysfunction, that we all need to start coming back to our body. And I think we're getting it. I think the collective really is upgrading, and we're coming back to the body, and we're learning new ways on how to do that in a society where the mind has been very prized. But this could be in dancing and getting into a drum circle, listening to binaural beats. For the root chakra, I really love Meditative Mind on YouTube. They make some really great stuff. But the root chakra is all about getting back into that sense of safety. If you do not feel safe in the body, the root chakra definitely has got an imbalance going on. Now, we also have for you Vishuddha. I'm so sorry. Once again, I do not speak Sanskrit, but I'm doing my best. This is going to be your throat chakra. So oftentimes when we have a blocked or underactive throat chakra, this can be that we don't feel like we're allowed to speak our truth. We're not allowed to say that which is true for us internally. And the more and more you stuff your feelings down and you do not speak them out, sing them out, chant them out, the more and more this can create a block and we just stop speaking. I always notice in my own life that when I am not living in accordance with my throat chakra and speaking things out the way that I see or feel them internally, I'll get sick. Literally, I will lose my voice. I have gone through several periods where I'll lose my voice for an entire month. And y'all know that I can't even come here and show up for the work if I don't have a voice. So that's like very detrimental to me to lose my voice. And I feel like often that's like spirit's final nudge is like, hey, you're not going to sit here and actually work with yourself, give yourself some self-compassion. We're just going to take that pretty little voice away. We're going to see which Little Mermaid this, and you no longer get to speak for a little bit because you need to just chill out. The universe really can be like that sometimes. And this is really more of a call to start opening that throat, start allowing yourself to speak your reality into existence. And also, if there's something that you need to say, like, I think something that we see a lot, and this might relate to you very personally, but something that we see a lot in this day and age, especially as it's more and more talked about, is childhood trauma, that many of us don't even feel like we're allowed to speak about it because we have parental figures that would be oh so offended. And it's actually very important for you to speak about those things. But I will say, please know, I'm not a therapist. You can go to BetterHelp for that. I didn't even mean for that to come out, but you can go to BetterHelp for that if you would like to speak with a licensed therapist. I am not a therapist. I've just done a lot of my own work and with therapists and also on my own. But with this, it's very important that you speak it out. It doesn't have to be in a public way. It doesn't have to be in a way that makes you feel unsafe, but even just talking to somebody else about it. So again, talking to a therapist, talking to a healer, talking to a close friend. But the thing you need to remember is most of the time, not everybody, but most of the time, you cannot talk to the person that hurt you. And sometimes you can. If they are emotionally regulated enough, maybe you can have a conversation with a parental figure that's like ready, or whoever hurt you. But most of the time, the person that hurt you is not the person that's going to help heal you. You are the person that is going to heal you, and you're not going to be able to get through to the emotionally immature person that hurt you initially. You're going to have to go beyond that. And if this is you, I just want to remind those of you that feel this way that like you really need to get like basically closure from the parental figure or somebody else that hurt you. Just remind yourself that it is your responsibility to do your own healing work. And I always like to imagine because like this is my own story too. Like I came from a very abusive background, and at least one of my parents does not acknowledge it and never will, most likely. And I have had to heal anyways, in spite of that, or despite that, or, that has made all the difference, was taking my own power back. And you can do that too. You don't need the apology from that person to move forward. And it is hard work. We would all love it if those people would apologize, but most often they're never going to see it that way because they don't feel safe enough to discover what they have done wrong themselves. And it doesn't mean we're giving somebody a free pass to just hurt us continually, but you're giving yourself a pass to heal. And remind yourself that even if this person on their deathbed still didn't acknowledge you, it is still up to you what you're going to do with that. They are not the person that gets to hold the key to your healing and your life. You hold that. And I hope that the words I'm saying empower you more than anything else, because if there's anything I would ever want to impart on you from one channeler to another human being, like, it would be that you hold the keys to your own healing. We can always take life rafts and supportive people along the journey with us, but you hold those keys, and it's up to you to use your voice to create that change in your life and to unblock that chakra. And I know I had a lot to say about this. Her throat chakra is open, okay? And we also have for you, I am not even going to try to pronounce this. I really wish I would have like gone and listened to these before making this video so I could get it right. But this is the sacral or the sacral chakra, and or chakra. This is the one that sits within the kind of like around the belly button. It's like between the pubic bone and the belly button. And this is the space where our deep-seated creation comes from. This is the seat of creation. It also rules over the sexual organs, and this helps us to connect with passion and with creativity. So if you feel like creatively stunted in some way, this is a sign to work with that energy. And again, I'm always going to give you practical tips when I read tarot. That's just who I am as a person. I'm not just going to give you the reading and not tell you how to help yourself. So something that I think can be really helpful if you're open to it when it comes to creation and the sacral chakra is creating some kind of art. If you don't feel like you can create or you're open to create, and that chakra feels very blocked for you, create the feeling. So write about it, paint about it, draw about it. Use, there's even an app now. It's called Procreate. I want to say that it's not free, unfortunately. I think there is a free program like Procreate, though, that you can get on like your iPad or your phone. You can work on digital art and expressing. Some people do this exercise and they'll like create little characters that represent the feelings that are going on internally. And it helps you to put more to it. And it helps you to bring it out of the body and put it somewhere else. Because that's the thing. These things get stored in the body and then we end up with a bunch of blocked chakras. And that's not what we want. We want you feeling aligned and well expressed. Like, it is truly your gift to the world to be your most authentic expression. That is what you bring to this world, your uniqueness and your authentic expression. So having blocks in these areas, it's cutting you off from your own expression of self, and you deserve to have that. So we also have for you the cards Dynamic, which says, the frequency of dynamic supports our ability to harmonize between layers and aspects of different origins and frequency. It helps us to put together a reality that is made up of many different elements, both familiar and completely new, with ease, grace, and great joy. So try some of those exercises that I'm giving to you. You might find that you create something that you've never seen before. And I feel like it's honestly part of your destiny to do so. We also have for you the card of Integration, which says the frequency of integration supports our embrace of every aspect of ourselves, allowing what we perceive as positive and what we perceive as negative to harmonize in a balanced symphony of life. So this, to me, this is also about integrating your experiences. When we integrate the shadow aspect of self, the parts of us that are downtrodden or the parts that we've been told to put away, you give yourself the gift of feeling more and more whole. You are a whole and complete person on your own, but you actually start to feel and believe it. You already are that, but it gives you the ability to actually believe it. Because I feel like some of you, I'm really hearing from Spirit that you do not believe in your own ability to take control of your own healing journey and take steps to work towards it. But you have it. It's there for you. Now we have some cards of self-care that I want to bring out just to kind of help you on this path that you're on right now, because I really get the sense that you are deeply trying. Like, you are trying. I can see that here. I hope that this reading is honestly, again, empowering you to keep going, because you're doing something really incredible for yourself. And that's like all Spirit could ever ask of you. But We have for you the card Change Course, which says, a closed door is an invitation from life to move in an even better direction. It's time to change course. Again, I think you're already in this. You're already doing it. You've already sensed it. You're already starting to create it. And Spirit is reminding you that you've made the right choice and to keep going. Then we have rituals, which says, steady yourself with simple rituals. Do the dishes, fold the laundry. Also, please ignore my polish. This literally happened when I was doing dishes yesterday. So sorry about that. Steady yourself with simple rituals. Do the dishes, fold the laundry, water the plants, make a cup of tea. Let wisdom sneak up on you. So this is actually something that you can start practicing today. I feel like often when we think about doing the mental work that it takes to come back to ourselves and be our most authentic expression and to heal, we think that we have to do all of this crazy life-changing stuff. When in reality, it is the small things are the big things. And listening to the sound of the rain, sitting out in the sun for a few minutes, feeling the gentle breeze on your skin, finishing a book that you've really been savoring, the feeling of that last page being turned, which sometimes can be really sad, but it's still part of it. Just the little things are the big things. And when you actually start to create ritual for yourself, many people will create morning routines out of this feeling of obligation. Like you have to do it or you're never going to be better. Instead, come at it from a place of self-compassion. Come at it from a place of, how can I show myself the most love today? What does that look like? Is it watering the plants? Is it doing the dishes? Is it folding the laundry? Or is it taking a nap? Is it letting yourself cry? Is it making a warm cup of tea? Is it putting intentions into your coffee? Is it going out and grabbing lunch by yourself? Create ritual that makes you remember why you love yourself so much, instead of, I have to check off all these boxes, or I am not a whole and complete person. Then we have energy. That's funny. We got a coffee cup. I was just talking about that. Stop trying to please everyone. Everyone is a whole lot of people. Protect your energy. I'm going to let that be a message in and of itself. And then we have kindness. What if being kind to yourself really could change everything? You're literally being told that you need to have more self-compassion. I would highly encourage, pile number 2, that you look into self-compassion meditations if you enjoy meditating, or you look more into self-compassion practices, because I think they will actually change your life if you let them. And lastly, we have this sigil, which is sigil number 55. I'm going to actually read this one from the book because they have really great meanings. Sometimes these cards can be a little bit harsh. I don't think this one is, but I think pile number 1's was a little bit. So just know, if you're not ready for a little bit of, I don't even say stern talking to, but if you want to exist in the gentle aura that we've been giving here, maybe skip this last little segment of the reading. But I think this one's actually a really it's not as cutthroat, but they're just kind of points of, again, more practical information to help you continue your path of healing. So sigil number 55 is, if you have drawn this sigil, you need to be aware that signs are everywhere. Oh, this is all about magical thinking. In this situation, you are not looking for them. You are ignoring them or have no awareness of them when they occur. Have you ever experienced a time in your life where every time you looked up at the clock, the time was 555? Have you ever had deja vu? Have you ever heard the same message from a number of people? Have you ever been in the middle of a breakup when suddenly a song comes on the radio, the lyrics of which are an uncanny match to the circumstance and seem to somehow act as confirmation? Have you ever had reoccurring experiences or seen the same person over and over again? Have you ever kept breaking or losing the same thing over and over again? Have you ever had strange interactions with animals, an especially significant or repetitive dream, or wondered if a health treatment would be a good idea for you to do, and the next day received a discount or a special offer for that very treatment? There are times when we wrongly interpret things in the universe to reinforce our belief in whatever we want to believe. There are times when we use signs to reinforce our superstition because we need to feel a sense of surety, which allows us to feel control over our life in order to prevent pain. We need to be aware of these tendencies within ourselves, but this sigil is coming to help you to become aware of the plethora of signs that you are being given at this time. Now is not a time to doubt them. Now is the time to really listen to them and to be clear about how to interpret them if their meaning is not immediately obvious. If you have drawn this sigil, know that the universe at large is always giving you guidance, always trying to help you. It is your choice whether or not to recognize and accept a sign. Chances are very high that you could trust it. Some of these signs are red flags warning you. Others are white flags showing you the right way to go. Stop believing that things are just coincidence and find meaning in every word. Occurrence, dream, color, animal, number, and synchronicity. The more you pay attention to those signs, the more signs you will benefit. So this, again, is all about bringing yourself back to magical thinking. Like I said in the beginning of your reading, pile number 2, magical thinking will literally change the course of your life. And it's not about sprinkling fairy dust over, well, maybe it is if that's what you're into, but it's not about like making your life this pretty packaged bow and never seeing the suffering or the hurt in the world. It's about living your life on your own terms and allowing yourself to see the good in a world that constantly is stuffing the bad down your throat. And it can bring you new peace, new connections, new ways of thinking about your life that bring you out of your deepest despair. Again, I'm speaking from personal experience. Magical thinking and also relying on all of my support systems changed my life. It brought me out of the deepest, darkest depression I've ever experienced to date in my life. And I feel like this is what you're being asked, is to create more instances where magical thinking can come through, where signs and synchronicities become the things that you look for. And I think you're actually on a really beautiful path right now. I think you're really making an effort, and you're going to continue if you heed what this reading just gave to you. You're already on your way. And I wish you nothing but the best in that. So thank you again so much to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's video. Again, if you want to get another life raft to help you on your healing journey, to work on this stuff, I cannot recommend BetterHelp enough. I don't say that just to say it. I literally use their service myself. It's helped me out of some of my own deep, dark feelings. And you do get 10% off your first month if you use my code betterhelp.com/Kloee. Again, information down below. Thank you so much to my patrons over on Patreon that make all of my content possible. If you would like to support me as a creator, get some early access to my content, weekly energy tarot card readings, extra pick a cards, a book club, and so much more, make sure you check out the Patreon, links down below. If you'd like to support me in more ways, I do accept tips for my readings. I have my Cashapp, Venmo, and PayPal listed down below for you. I do not expect tips, but I always appreciate them. And I also have my wish list down there for you. If you would like to get more from me just in general, I also have my podcast available, Divine Authenticity. New episodes come out every single Tuesday. We talk about things like magical thinking, mental health and spirituality, and so much more. Definitely make sure you're following along. You can listen to it everywhere you listen to podcasts. I also have my Instagram, my TikTok. I'm at Kloee Taylor. I have a Twitter, but I don't really use it that much. But it's also at Kloee Taylor. And please do not forget, you beautiful soul, that when you stand in your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. I'll talk to you next time. Bye. All right, pile number 3. This is going to be the healing message that you need to hear right now. If you chose New Moon in Pisces, attune to the divine, this is for you. Now, I do want to remind those of you that did not see, please, please, please make sure you check out BetterHelp if you are wanting to speak to a licensed therapist on your healing journey. I cannot recommend it enough. I use their service myself. I don't say these things just to say them. You get 10% off your first month if you use my link, BetterHelp, and that's help like HELP.com/Kloee. A link is going to be down below for you. But let's go ahead and get into this reading. So the first cards that I have here, this is like where you currently are basically. And the middle card is the heart of your reading. So at the heart of what we're about to discuss for you, we have New Moon in Pisces, attuned to the divine. So this is really, to me, your reading in terms of healing is going to be about attuning yourself to your divine path, to divinity, and whatever that looks like for you. If it's connecting to spirit guides, deities, angels, your higher self, Gaia, the universe, God, whatever that looks like for you, that is going to be the heart of your healing. But we have so much more intricacy and detail to get to. So just hang out with me and we will suss it all out. So where you are currently, we have the Ace of Swords, the Knight of Swords, the Ten of Cups, and the Three of Diamonds. And what I'm really seeing is you have had a ton of forward momentum action right now. You've had some great ideas that have come to you, and you have chosen to act on those ideas because the Knight of Swords is taking action on the ideas that you've had. The idea that you've been given was a gift from the universe, was a gift from your highest self, the highest version of you and your highest potential. And you've actually started to move really swiftly towards this. And if this is the energy you've been feeling recently, I feel like you have been very like go, 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 fast, 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 which is wonderful. I love that for you. Maybe it's come after a period of a lot of stagnancy. And we also have the Ten of Cups and the Three of Diamonds. So this to me also says you've had a lot more in terms of either intimacy with a partner, or this can also be your family, having familial connections with people that you love, people that you consider family. This is also about creating your dream reality with somebody else. So this can be creating your dream home, creating your dream life, having basically just having it all. And this could be, maybe you've just realized the grander vision that you have for yourself, and you've really put work and dedication into creating a visual, creating, maybe you've done some scripting, you've done some vision boarding, something about bringing your future reality together. You've put action into this. And the Three of Diamonds, this is about getting the right support for your path, having people that genuinely want to see you succeed around you. And this is something that Spirit is telling me your guides just want to like basically give you a round of applause because you've had to work very hard to create this in your life, this Three of Diamonds. And also, I apologize, I'm trying not to use my pointer finger like this when I read cards because I know in some cultures that's actually very offensive. And I've had a couple people like get mad at me for it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm just a dumb American and I forget these things, that pointing like that can be very offensive. So I apologize. I'm not trying to be offensive to you. I will try my best to remember to use like full hands or two fingers. But the Three of Diamonds is basically a nudge from your spiritual team, reminding you that you've worked very hard to cultivate that circle of well-intentioned people, because there can be people that you are connected to that they might have good intentions for you, but they still have their own agendas of how they think you should behave. And this is about you being in contact with people that they actually really do have your best interests at heart and they want to see you succeed. So this is beautiful. I think you're surrounded by very positive energy right now, but let's get into what maybe could use a little bit more healing, if you will. And I do want to say, in terms of healing, just in general, Sometimes that word can come across as toxic if we give it too much meaning. I do think that healing is a lifelong journey. I do think that we are always meant to be working in that regard, but sometimes it can be too much, and we need to just enjoy the moment for what it is instead of constantly looking to the next thing that needs to be worked through. So for some of you, maybe you just need to enjoy this moment. But if you don't feel like that's where you are, the next several cards are going to be practical advice. And not only am I going to channel for you, but I'm also going to give you practical information to help yourself. So for the chakras or the chakras that are out of alignment or out of balance that need work right now, you have a couple of them, and I'm going to lay down the cards. But I also want to apologize that I do not know Sanskrit, so I'm probably going to pronounce these so incorrectly, and I apologize. I'm doing my very best. But we have for you, it's a Sahasrara. And then we also have Anahata. I apologize again if I am saying those so wrong. Again, I'm doing my best, but this is the crown as well as the heart chakra. So this does not surprise me that we have attuned to the divine with the crown, because the crown chakra is your connection to divinity consciousness, to source, to God, to the ether, to your spiritual team, to angels, to guides. Many, many, many of us, this is nothing to be ashamed of. Many of us feel stunted in our crown chakra. And I honestly think that that has a lot to do with this 3D reality is very designed to keep you powerless and to keep you not feeling connected to something grander. And it can take effort to get to that place where you feel fully tuned in, turned on, tapped in, to that connection to divinity and having it. And for some of you, maybe you were born into a family that really honed that. But for some of you, maybe you've really had to discover that for yourself. And Spirit is ultimately saying that this needs more work. This area where you maybe don't feel connected to something bigger or grander than you. You don't feel held by something more. It is very like 3D minded versus seeing beyond. And the crown chakra, I would argue that this is one of the hardest chakras to work with because it is very contingent on your beliefs in order to work into it. And once you get there, though, it's also very hard to ever lose it. In my own personal experience. Again, I'm going to give you practical information because I am a down-to-earth Taurus, and I'm not just going to give you a bunch of information and not tell you how to help yourself. So with the crown chakra, some things that you can do. I always encourage binaural beats on YouTube. I really like the channel Meditative Mind. I'm also always going to say, check out I like Buddha teas. That's just like something that I drink myself. They're, to me, pretty inexpensive for what they are. I've linked them all down below for you for every corresponding chakra. And I use those myself. I see improvement in myself with those. That's why I link them. But you can drink the Buddha tea for the crown chakra, listen to crown chakra music. You can get like a singing bowl if you've got a little extra money and you can spend some on that and get the tune that goes with the crown chakra, meditate with it. One of the best things I think you can do though, and I mentioned this as to pile number 2 as well, is you can also, oh my gosh, my brain just like lost whatever I was about to say. Maybe that is not information that you need. Okay, never mind. Spirit said, no, don't give them that. Okay, that's not for you. Sorry about it. Literally, I feel like it just like blanked out of my mind. So nope, not for you. That is for pile number 2, unless you felt called to both piles, in which I would go listen to that. But something else that you can do is remind yourself that there is always magic everywhere. And when you start to ask for certain signs and synchronicities and see them show up, this really extends your belief and it allows you to be more open to higher realms of spirituality. It's also something that you often have to take very slowly, in the sense that you're not just going to like blink and all of a sudden you see another dimension. I mean, for some people it does happen like that, but that can be very jarring, especially when you are not normally, that's not something that's like your day-to-day practice, right? So it can be a very like slow process of dipping your toes in, letting yourself get comfortable with higher realms of communication. And I always encourage those of you that are want to get more invested in that. I have other videos where I talk about spirit guides, spiritual teams, and how to get in contact. And I want to say in June, I have a collaboration coming out where I'm talking with another reader about that very thing. So more info coming. And then with Anhata, this is the heart chakra. So the heart chakra, this is all about the way that we give ourselves love, self-compassion, how we love other people. A lot of us can build a lot of walls around the heart if we are not used to being, having, and experiencing love, especially if you did not receive that early on. So again, I'm going to still recommend binaural beats. I'm going to recommend that tea. Also crystals for this. You can use green adventurine, which is right here. I really, really, really love rose quartz for the heart chakra. I actually have some on right now. This is a rose quartz bracelet. I got this one from the Gem Goddesses store, but they have it everywhere. This one, I do feel like it was a very high quality piece, so I like it. I always recommend her jewelry, or even Bow Life, which I have a coupon code for Bow Life if you decide to shop there. It's pumpkin 10. Great jewelry there. I have a lot of jewelry pieces from Bow Life as well, and she does do rose quartz pieces. But rose quartz is a fantastic crystal for the heart chakra. It's actually hard for me as a person, like without channeling, to give you guidance on the heart chakra, because I have a very open, balanced heart chakra, and I have for the bulk of my life. So it's hard for me to give a lot because I haven't experienced it myself. But as far as what is coming through as I'm channeling, I am being reminded to tell you, of course, about the rose quartz is a great, like, the frequency of that crystal alone will help you so much. Wearing it in particular, so getting a necklace, getting a bracelet, getting a ring, it's going to work even better than just like carrying it or having a crystal. Like, try to get something that you can wear. And the heart also very much connects to the colors green and pink. So even just going outside on a nature walk, if there's greenery around you, is going to be very, very, very helpful. And again, those other things that I've mentioned as well, but it's also about showing yourself more love, more self-compassion. And I want to say again, pile number 2 and you have a lot in common, but pile number 2, I also mentioned doing like self-compassion meditations. If you're into meditating and that's your thing, try some self-compassion meditation. Now, I do have a few more cards of energies for you. We have prosperity, which says the frequency of prosperity supports our feelings of well-being by allowing the inclusion of everything that makes our body, mind, heart, soul, and spirit sing. So it's talking about the heart again. It invites us to express ourselves in joy, celebration of the abundance and riches that the universe provides. So I'm also really feeling that you might have some very significant money blocks, and I think it's coming because of the heart chakra blocks that you've been experiencing. Spirit is saying that that's why like the money drip hasn't been coming as much as you would like it to, and the more that you work with this heart chakra, the more prosperity you're going to see in your life. So definitely heed that information. Then we have conception, which says the frequency of conception conception invites us to bring our consciousness to our origin, the place where everything in creation begins. It helps us to remember the infinite potential and possibilities of this space and that we can manifest through our own focused awareness and intention. So this is also a reminder, especially with the prosperity. I feel like these cards really go together. With the conception of prosperity, it has to come from the mind first. So when you're working to heal these parts of yourself, make sure that you are not just trying to manifest like a pool full of money, unless that would genuinely make you feel the highest high of joy. Make sure you're asking yourself, what do I want to do with that abundance and prosperity? How is it going to serve me? How is it going to serve my community? How is it going to serve people I love? What are you going to buy with it? Put intention behind it, because it's going to help you basically bring from conception all the way into like the birth of receiving. Also, this is just a sign that in terms of healing, there might be some healing that needs to happen around your own birth story. I believe personally that birth, especially as it is done in the Western world, can be a very traumatic experience for baby and mom. And if we do not allow ourselves to heal from that, whether you are a mother or you've been born, which all of us have, not allowing ourselves to heal from those experiences, it can stay in the subconscious mind and continue to plague us with fear. So getting into your birth story, something that I always encourage if you're working towards like healing, especially a connection with your own mother, if that's something that you're needing, that could be the reason that you've got like heart walls or heart blockage, is this connection with mother. Something I always recommend that is way more healing than you could ever imagine. It sounds so simple, but the simplest things are often the easiest and the best. Get in water. Whether it's a bath, a pool, an ocean, be safe, obviously, but get in water and allow yourself, if you are able, like, maybe you have ear problems when it comes to water, like only do this if it is safe for you, but allow yourself to submerge your ears, especially because notice how when you're underwater, it has a different sound. And this can actually mimic the sounds that you heard when you were in the womb. And again, I know this might sound kind of insane to some people, but trust me on this. Have you ever gotten into a pool and just like floated out on your back and noticed how calming that can feel? I also encourage, if you feel up to the task, deprivation pods are incredible. It sounds way scarier than it is. You can look up like float spas or deprivation pods. I did a deprivation pod probably like 8 months ago, and it was a little scary at first, but I had like some of the coolest experiences floating in this water tank, and it's very safe. Like, people do it all the time. It can be, again, a little jarring if it's just an experience that you're not used to, but you can do it for like an hour at a time and it feels good. It allows you to get back into that like watery womb space, and it can genuinely create the feelings of love, support. Think about in utero and in the womb, how supported you were, and how that mimics the same support we receive from the universe. So it can just be a very healing experience. Maybe I sound like a crazy hippy dippy lady to some of y'all, but I'm just speaking my truth. Okay. It really helped me. And I think as a practical step, if you're able to do it, it's worth it. Now, I have some cards of self-care for you as well, just some reminders for your healing journey. And we have first and foremost the card of love, which says, love people, love them with all of your heart. Just be sure to love yourself first. We also have mind, and that says, you are the master of your inner world, and you decide how the outer world affects you. Cultivate a calm inner state. So this is also like, I don't know why for you, pile number 3, we keep talking about like the 3D world, the Matrix, I don't feel like any other pile got like that in depth, because I know not everybody like lives with those terms. And I think that's totally okay. But For you, you really need to start cultivating a safe inner landscape. Because as you do that, it's going to reflect out everywhere in the world. Don't you notice? Maybe you don't, but maybe I'm going to give you a challenge, an easy challenge. Something you can do from like the comfort of your home or while you're out grocery shopping. I challenge you to notice the good. Notice the things like notice people helping people across the street. Notice how the flowers bloom. Notice how dogs are so happy to see people or their owners. Notice the smell of the ocean if you're close to one. I want you to really pay attention to the good in life instead of all of the bad. And I'm not saying don't give yourself time to be informed. We don't need to, sit in the realm of complacency. I think we can only create change if we allow ourselves to be aware, be informed. But you don't have to live in a state of being informed 24/7. I would actually argue that that really depletes your spirit over time. So for you, notice the good and watch how you will constantly be shown more good things. I constantly tell myself when I see a good thing, the better it gets, the better it gets. That's like my new catchphrase. The better it gets, the better it gets. And before doing this exercise and challenging myself to notice, I was constantly seeing all of the terrible things and how this world is awful and not beautiful and all these bad things are happening all the time. Every day it's a new nightmare. And those things still exist and I'm still paying attention, but I'm also noticing how beautiful it is just to be here and to live. And I think for some of you, that's a connection that you're missing. So you need to cultivate this place, this practice in your mind so that no matter what is going on outside, you can bring your best self to the table. Then we have security, which says true security comes from having a reserve of time, space, energy, personal power, and love. Make deposits in all of these accounts and you'll be a wealthy person indeed. I think this is also just piggybacking off of prosperity. You're being reminded that prosperity comes when you create an inner rich life. And that is what is asking to be healed right now, is the inner life. Then we have focus. If you focus on what you don't want, there's a good chance you might get it. Focus on what you do want instead. Literally, I just said to you, focus on the good. And that's not trying to wrap all of society up in a positive bow. Again, I think we need to experience polarity, but the problem is that so many of us are only experiencing one side of polarity, and we're not seeing the good. We need both. And it's time you start showing yourself the other side. And lastly, sometimes these cards can be a little bit hard with their medicine. So if you feel like you just want to exist in this beautiful, gentle bubble, I would encourage maybe skipping out on this card, but it's often the medicine that you really need to hear. So I'm just giving you that forewarning now if you want to exist where you have been with this reading, which was my original intention. But these cards, not always, but sometimes they can be a little bit more, a little bit less gentle, but it's usually the medicine you need to hear. So again, just whatever you're needing right now, I want to encourage that for you to do what feels good for you. But I'm going to read this one from the book that it came with. So you got Sigil 54, and it says, if you have drawn this sigil, you do not need to see what you do not see is that you are preventing yourself from the awareness of and experience of positive things. I'm psychic. I don't pre-read these cards. I am literally, I know we already knew that. I know we already knew Kloee was psychic, but sometimes she forgets that it's just, I cannot make this shit up if I tried. Like, what in the heck? I literally just talked to you about this. Okay, let's keep going. You have decided that if you allow yourself to be aware of or express the positive things, it will lead to negative things. The sigil has come to remind you that the truth is the opposite. Most people draw this sigil when they are preventing themselves from feeling things like happiness, joy, hope, positive expectation, or excitement. It is easy to think that happiness is always a good thing, but the truth is, the subconscious mind does not always agree. For some of us, happiness is like a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It hovers in the future like an unreachable goal that we dream of, but that we don't think we can reach. How did we end up this way? Because we suffered so much in our lives that happiness begins to feel false. Because we feel blindsided by painful experiences. And when that happens, especially when we're feeling good, we start to feel like happiness turns us into a sitting duck. We start to feel as if happiness is vulnerability that leaves us open for attack at any moment. Also, many of us feel as if there is always a give and take in life, and so if we're happy, we are convinced that it means that unhappiness is inevitably around the corner. Here are some important questions to ask yourself if you can't hold on to happiness. Did it feel like happiness of one or both of my parents conflicted with my happiness as a child? Did it feel like my happiness competed with their happiness? Did it feel like there was no way that both of us could be happy at the same time? Did it feel like either I was happy and my parent was unhappy, or my parent was happy and I was unhappy? When we feel as if our happiness conflicts with the happiness of our primary authority figures as a child, we grow up to feel as if our happiness is at odds with the universe at large. We feel as if we are in a giant chess match where the universe is against our happiness and wants us to punish us for our happiness. We feel as if in order for the universe or God to be happy, we must be unhappy. Therefore, it will make us unhappy at any cost. When we cannot feel happy no matter how hard we try, and we feel as if happiness is false and only negative emotions are real, what is really happening is that we have learned to fear happiness. We think that happiness is dangerous, most often because we have been blindsided by emotional, mental, or physical pain when we are enjoying ourselves. And perhaps even more than that, we have repeatedly been blindsided by such pain when we were enjoying ourselves. Basically, what is happening for many people who cannot be happy is that the very feeling of joy and happiness itself becomes the trigger for a post-traumatic stress response. Why is this a problem? Because you are now fighting with your own survival instinct to be happy. The wires in your own mind have become crossed to such a degree that your own being is trying to keep you feeling good by keeping you from feeling good. The strongest instinct in the physical body is the drive to avoid pain for the sake of survival. The minute your mind associates pleasure with pain, your brain wires itself to avoid positive feeling states for the sake of feeling positive. When this has happened, we start to feel like our own mind is working against us and we are being prevented from happiness in every way, as if our being is an enemy living within. But understanding this dynamic should give you a bit of relief, because it means that your own being loves you so much that ironically, I just got the chills. Ironically, its motivation for keeping you unhappy is so that you will feel good. It is common for people who have been hurt to build walls between themselves and others to keep pain out. But the downside is that they also keep love and happiness out. But there is another kind of wall built by those who have been hurt even more, which is designed to keep good feeling things like love and happiness out, but to keep pain in. The most common reason why we would keep pain in is a dynamic that begins in childhood. When we are young, we are rewarded for being good and punished for being bad. We learn very quickly that the only way to be loved is to be good. Since we need love more than we need food or water, our very survival depends on us being good. But there is a problem. What if we are born into a family where parents who show a great deal of love and support and even reward us when we are hurt emotionally or physically? We learn that pain is good. We learn that since love and support and reward go to the person who is hurting, there must be goodness or virtue in pain. It is good to show support for children who are in pain, but this support goes sour when we are only shown support when we are in pain. It causes us to get the message that feeling good means being bad. We begin to feel shame and fear in association with happiness. Being bad means being unloved, and thus ultimately dying. And so we begin to see feeling bad as good and feeling good as bad. We think that that without pain, we will be forsaken completely. Often for those of us who suffer chronically, pain is our buffer, which we use to keep ourselves safe. Not only does it prevent us from feeling loss and shock, it also acts like a cushion. For most beings on Earth, joy is their baseline, and they experience temporary bouts of unhappiness and pain. But for some of us, especially those of us who find our way to self-help and spirituality, the tables are often turned. Suffering is our baseline, and we experience temporary bouts of happiness and pleasure. When this is the case, happiness feels like a fleeting temporary illusion. We have about a page left. Sorry, y'all. I didn't realize this was such a long one, but it's been really good. I hope you're getting something out of it. It begins to feel not real, whereas unhappiness feels more permanent, inevitable truth of life itself. If suffering is your baseline, I want you to ask yourself two very personal questions. Try to answer them with as much I want you to ask yourself two very important personal questions. Try to answer them with as much brutal honesty as possible. What is my positive intention for being unhappy or suffering? What bad thing would happen if I were always happy and full of joy? Most of us think that we are trying incessantly to be happy, but are not even aware that we have a subconscious motivation to be unhappy. We are, in essence, engaging in a tug of war between our conscious mind that wants happiness and our subconscious mind that doesn't, because of what it thinks that happiness entails. Another potential of you, if you have drawn this sigil, is that you are suppressing a positive about yourself, such as a positive character trait or a talent. We often assume that people only suppress, deny, reject, and disown bad things. This is not the case. Imagine being a little girl who loves to sing. If this little girl grows up in a family that believes singing is a waste of time and that the little girl has to get her head out of the clouds and do things that will ensure her future, she may experience enough pain relative to the disapproval of her family when she focuses on singing that she may suppress her incredible singing voice. As she grows up, she may even suppress the awareness that she can sing, along with the memories of loving to sing. The sigil may have come to you as a calling to rediscover and re-own a positive aspect of yourself that you have stuffed under the floorboards of your own consciousness. The sigil has come to make you aware that in this situation, you are not letting yourself see, feel, hear, understand, or experience the positive. It has come to remind you that you deserve to feel good. You deserve happiness. You deserve to express your truest self, especially those amazing positive parts about you, and you deserve to feel seen when you feel happy. And that is what I have for you, pile number 3. Thank you so very much for tuning in. I appreciate you. I love you. And honestly, I think that finding your own thread of happiness and connection is such a journey, but it is worth every single step that you take. And I just want to encourage you to keep going because you're already well on your way. And that's why you chose this pile, is you literally are already on your way. You're already doing the work and you're doing an excellent job. Now, I do want to remind those of y'all that if you feel like you need more help, more assistance to get on with this journey, please, please, please don't hesitate to check out betterhelp.com/Kloee for 10% off your first month. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Kloee, and you get that 10% off. Again, this is a service that I use. I believe in it. I think that it has dramatically improved the quality of my own life, and I wouldn't work with them if I didn't believe in it. So definitely check it out if you want easy access to a therapist. And I just want to also take a moment to thank my patrons over on Patreon. Thank you so much for allowing me to create the way that I do. If you would like to join the Patreon, it definitely helps me as a creator. I do early access to all of my content. I do weekly tarot card readings for the collective. I do pick a cards there that you can't get anywhere else. We have a book club that we've been doing. It has been honestly such a fantastic journey over there. We've been running it for over a year now too. So if you join, you also get like a backlog of a ton of content that is available to you the moment that you join. And If not, and you would like to support me in another way, I do have my Cashapp, Venmo, and PayPal listed down below. It is not an expectation, but always appreciated. I do accept tips for my readings, and I have my wish list down below as well if you'd like to view that. Again, zero expectation. And if you'd like more of me around the web, I have my podcast, Divine Authenticity. I put out new episodes every single Tuesday. We talk about mental health, we talk about spirituality, and so much more. That podcast truly is my love letter to the world. So if you'd like to listen in, I would love to have you. It's available everywhere you listen to podcasts. I have my Instagram, my TikTok, my Twitter. I don't really use Twitter very often, but Instagram and TikTok sometimes. And I'm at Kloee Taylor on all of my socials. And please, please do not forget, when you stand in your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. I love you so much, pile number 3. Best of luck out there. Bye. All right, pile number 4. If you chose this pile, I wanted to do something very special for you because I felt really called by Spirit to do this. No other pile got this. And first and foremost, I just want you to place a hand over your heart and a hand over your belly button. And we're going to take 3 deep breaths together, okay? Doesn't that feel good? Release a little bit. You've been holding a lot of tension, and maybe you've been feeling very emotionally heightened right now, but this is for you to just let go, to release. I've got an intention candle for you. You can pause this video for a moment and decide what you want to let go of. And I'm going to burn this candle down with those intentions from everybody that stopped on pile number 4. And we're going to let go of some things together. So I'm going to get this candle ready for you. We're just going to melt the bottom a little bit so that it will stand up straight. And then just think of something. Maybe it's multiple things. Maybe you want to write it down in a journal. But when you're ready, we're going to take one more deep breath, and I'm going to light this candle for us, and I'm going to let it burn all the way down on my altar space. And this is going to help us by using all of this energy that we're collectively creating to release the things which do not serve us, okay? So we're going to take one more deep breath. Ooh, that wick was doing the most. You probably couldn't see it. The wick on this candle was like it did not want to let go, but we got to let go. So this candle is for you. Like I said, I'm going to burn it down on my own altar space. We have last quarter moon in Scorpio, reveal what needs to be seen. So this may have even prompted you to pull out a journal. The other thing I want to let you know is this isn't actually a pile. So to get your reading, which if you're here, you still have a reading for you, you need to go back and choose again from pile 1, 2, or 3. So if you felt called to one of the other piles, this is your sign that it was over there, but you still have a reading here. If you came here for this candle, there's definitely something here for you today, I promise. And I would say go back to the meditation in the beginning, or you can pause this video and go back and make a new selection. But please do not forget, when you stand in your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. I love you so much.